Hello, welcome to another Writerly Witterings. Today, I'm going to do the thing that I tried to do some time ago and talk about this. I'll apologise now. I was going to do a video all about the Astrohaus Freewrite after 1 month's usage about 3-4 weeks ago. And in fact I did. I recorded it and it went very, very well up until the moment that my daughter looked at it to edit it and discovered that I'd managed to record an entire 20-minute video completely out of focus. So now I've got a daughter back here and she's recording and directing. Actually right now she's directing the puppy who is rolling over in her bed and being rather loud. Anyway, Astrohaus Freewrite. This is the box. What is it? Well, it is basically a typewriter. It's got wonderful keyboard with beautiful Cherry MX keys. You've got a folder selector switch, so you can go from one folder to another over here. You've got folder A, B and C. Each of the folders has as many documents really as you can want to fit into it, as far as I can see. Over here you've got Wi-Fi on, and then over here is to select a new Wi-Fi router, and then off. And then you've got two screens. Now if I turn it on, what I love is it is so quick. It comes up really, really swiftly. So you've got the main typing screen here where all the words come up when you're typing. You've got an information screen down here which will show you what level your battery's at. It'll show you how many words, how many characters. It'll tell you what you've got the device synced through to, because the Wi-Fi allows you to sync it through to first a mail system called Postbox, which these guys have invented themselves. But you can sync it through Evernote, Dropbox, any number of other external facilities, so that you can have all of your documents sent straight through to whatever drives you want to use yourself, and then you can bring them straight back from there. You have also got a send key down here, so you can send the documents straight to your own email inbox. That's pretty much the front of it, really. On the back, you've got a carry handle, which is actually surprisingly useful, and you've got a hole here, a USB-C I think it is. The only thing I know about it is that it's a USB which is exactly the same as the USB cable for my mobile phone, my Sony. So it's an extremely useful fact. On the bottom it's got the name of the device, Freewrite. On the back it's got sides, nothing else at all. It is basically a keyboard and a screen with the ability to, instead of typing on paper, you type into a variety of folders. The sharper-eyed will notice there are no cursor keys. There is no way to go up and down through your document. If you want to do that, you've got a backspace key. If you hit the red button and use backspace, that'll delete a word at a time. So the whole concept of this is not that you edit. It is not a word processor. It is just a typewriter. And the whole idea is that you can clear your mind. You cannot do your email. You cannot have Facebook flashing up. You can't have Twitter bleeping at you. Nothing at all. All you can do is type. You can't even go back and edit. Now, people have asked me why that. I don't know why they designed it, but from my perspective, I've discovered that with this, if somebody knocks on your door and offers to make you a cup of coffee, or the puppy decides to start chewing her bed, which she's doing now so delightfully, that as an interruption will take you about 20 minutes to get straight back into the writing mode that you were in before the interruption. And that's the same with business. It's not just novelists and journalists who find that. Any type of work where you're involved in creative thinking and you get an interruption, it will take a long time to get back into the creative mode you were in, because you flip from creation into administration. I find the same thing when I'm editing work. So if I'm typing up a load of text on my Apple iMac and I see that there's an error further up on the screen, I find it takes me a long time, because I'll go up, I'll edit that string of text, it might be TEH instead of the or something like that. If I go back and edit that, it takes me a moment or two to get back into the typing straightforward again. With this, I find that my typing speed has about doubled. It is much, much more efficient because I can concentrate just on what I'm doing in that scene at the time. So it makes life much more easy from that point of view. The keyboard I have to discuss because it is absolutely delightful to work on. It's an old-fashioned keyboard. I was brought up in the 80s with computers, and in those days you had lovely rattly keys, and each of them is individually sprung. It sounds like a bit of a gimmick. It isn't. If I type on my Apple MacBook Air, which my son is now using over there, my typing speed slows down because the keys are too short in the travel. They will travel, I think, about 2 millimeters. These keys travel about 4. They register after 2, but they keep on going after that. And that makes for a much more relaxed typing style. Instead of touch typing, just moving your hands across the keyboard like that, you're more likely to keep moving your hands vertically. Now, the reason why that's good is that if you're just moving your hands like that, that's when you're liable to get repetitive strain over the fingers. If you're moving the whole of your wrist more, you're far less likely to. So that's one reason why I like it. I type usually at least 5,000 words a day. Working on this is much, much easier. I have to say it's why I'm now selling 2 Apple very flat keyboard Bluetooth keyboards, which are beautiful to look at. They're delightful, but I have no use for them. I've replaced them with a Cherry MX keyboard from Philco, as you can see if you look in past videos. So, I got this from Adam Lieb at Astrohaus about 6 or 7 weeks ago. He was very kind. He sent it to me to review. I had it for 2 weeks originally, and I said to him, actually 2 weeks isn't enough, I need it for about a month if I'm going to really give it a good going over. And he said, fine. And when it arrived, I was immediately impressed. I like the feel, it's not too heavy. When I'm typing, it sits on the lap perfectly. I find any laptop I have tried to use, the weight of the screen lifted pulls the whole laptop down. I go into all of this in previous videos, so I'm not going to labour the point, but this is much more comfortable. I had to go in and get a hearing aid reprogrammed on Friday. I took this with me. Luckily, I say luckily, but I was an hour early for the meeting, and I did a lot of work on this while I was waiting because it was just easy to plonk it on your lap and start typing. Much, much easier than any laptop I've used before. I love the fact that I can use it anywhere. We've had the puppy now for 4 months. I apologise. So, with the puppy, one thing I discovered very quickly was that I can't just wander through to my office and work because I had to keep an eye on the puppy. With this, I could bring it in, plonk it down on any countertop or the table and start typing, because the fact that you've got this slightly different action means that you can type with it almost at any height. With the MacBook Air, if it isn't at exactly the right height for your hands to stay moderately stable, it's next to impossible to type on, I find. If it's too low, it feels really uncomfortable. It just doesn't work. With this, you can use it at any height, any location. Much, much more straightforward. It's battery operated, and the battery lasts for quite some time. I don't know how long because I've never bothered to let it run down. I tend to top it up every 2-3 days. Bearing in mind the amount of typing I do, that means it's got a good battery life. The fact that it's USB driven and it doesn't take a whole chunk of energy because it's all e-ink screens means that I can charge this from the portable charger that I've got that I used for my phone before. Now I think it'll charge this perfectly happily as well. So I had it for 2 weeks. I extended that to a month because I said to Adam that I really needed it for that bit longer. And after a month I was supposed to send it back and I couldn't. If you want a reviewer's perspective, perspective is this thing is fantastic. It's not just really, really good. It's actually become almost completely indispensable to my working day. It is the thing that I will type everything on first. I type all my drafts on this. I had to write a couple of letters today. They went on this. I type scenes for the books on this. And it's very handy for just taking around and making notes too. If I'm trying to think through the plotting of a story, I'll tend to go straight to this now. I'll do some basic flowcharts on paper with pen and ink, but then it'll go straight onto this, and only when I'm happy with it on this will I pull it across to the iMac. What do I love about it? Pretty much everything. I love it's robust, it's a solid aluminium, I think, chassis, apart from the base, which is a light plastic, don't care. I love the keyboard is fantastic. I love the fact that because it's e-ink, it comes on almost immediately. That is, to me, very, very appealing, because it does mean that if I discover I've got 15 minutes to do a bit of work, then I'll sit down for 15 minutes with it. I love the simplicity, everything about it really. What I don't like is one thing, which is I've got 2 manual typewriters out at my desk. I don't use them, but they are lovely. But both of them have hard plastic cases that cover them. Now, I'm constantly petrified that those screens are going to get scratched, or if I put it in a bag and I'm not too careful, that the keys could get knocked and maybe get pulled off. So I think that a little bit of nous would have said that they should have designed a plastic box that's wedge shaped like that, so you could slide it straight into a plastic box and it would have a clip that comes over the top, hold it in place, and then you wouldn't need to carry a backpack necessarily, you could just carry it as it is. That, I think, would have been a sensible move. They don't do that. They do make some little carry bags, so you can put it in a soft bag and then put it in your briefcase or backpack or whatever you've got. That's okay. I'd prefer to have a hard shell that would be a bit more rugged and protect it more. But that is seriously the only complaint I have about it. It is really well built, and the only complaint people have raised is that it's too expensive. I'll come to that straight on. I believe that this currently is about £360. Now, for me, this is a device I will use every single day, literally every day. I used to keep buying MacBook Airs because MacBook Airs are beautiful, they're light, and when I went up to London to do meetings, they were very, very practical. I could stick it in my bag, go up to London, and then I had basically a portable typewriter with me because I never used it for anything else. I did not like using it for emails or anything else. If an email came in and I needed to deal with it, I have a mobile phone, I have a smartphone. I don't do spreadsheets. I don't want to buy a whole bunch of free software that does emails, spreadsheets, presentation manager and word processor on a machine because I won't use any of them. I don't use Apple's word processor pages. I use Nisus Writer Pro because it's, for me, a vastly better piece of software. When I'm writing a book up, I'll use Scrivener because that's infinitely better than either of them for writing books. So a laptop is a brilliant idea, but one of those now is cracking on towards £1,000 to do a whole load of things I don't want to do. This is moderately expensive at 360 odd, 370 odd, but it does everything I want and it doesn't do anything I don't want, which for me makes this absolutely the perfect tool. Now I have actually, I know, as a result of talking about these, sold 2 or 3 Freewrites to other people who are writers. And I'm looking forward to hearing what they reckon about them. The only glitch that I'm aware of is that one person, Anne, had problems getting the Wi-Fi to register. That was not the Freewrite's fault. When she looked into it, that was actually a problem with her router that was about 8-9 years old. And it was too old technology for a modern Wi-Fi device to connect through to it. So if that's the only issue you're going to get, I think this is a good way to go. So if you're looking at potentially writing short stories, potentially writing anything at all, if you want to have a second device that you can write up your first drafts on, there is, in my mind, nothing that comes even close. There's nothing that compares to this. It's a very neatly designed package, it's very robust, it is very effective. If you're setting out and you want to start writing a book, you still need to have a computer of some sort. You need to have something that you can edit on, you need to have something that you can work on with a full-size screen. But for those of us who are professional journalists, writers, novelists, whatever it might be, you really need to have a look at these. They are fantastic. Now then, any questions, comments in the bottom. If you want to see some of the previous reviews I've done of this, look up there, I think. There's probably something coming up over there with the last video, and you can like it and share it and do all those things down the bottom there. If you've got ideas for other videos, let me know. I'll be delighted to look at it. And for now, I'll say thanks very much because I think the camera's about to run out of time.